This will be the first shots with the Springfield Hellcat. I got love, peace. Now, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Today, we are going to take a look at this Springfield Armory Hellcat. Now, when this gun came out a year or so ago, it got a lot of attention. Some people hate Springfield, some people love Springfield. I understand both sides, but over the past year or so, this gun has developed a very good reputation for being very durable and very reliable. So, when I had the opportunity to take a look at it, I jumped on it because I've been very, very interested in seeing this pistol. Before we get started, of course, I have to do my disclosure to keep those blood-sucking lawyers at bay. Yes, I do work in the firearms industry. I work in sales for Enforce, but none of that will have any effect on this review in any way, shape, or form, because this review is my opinion and my opinion only. I don't really have any relationship with Springfield Armory outside of a few social media comments and likes and that type of stuff. Really no connection with them in any way, shape, or form. This pistol did come from my friends, my homies, at the Elite Indoor Gun Range, local country club here in Southern Rhode Island. If you are anywhere near southeastern New England, do yourself a favor and check them out, and make sure you run the outdoor sporting clays course, because that is so much fun. But let me thank them because they have been very, very kind to me and this channel. Now, if you are looking for a pistol like this, I'm going to assume it's going to be for concealed carry and maybe home defense. If that is the case, I would also highly recommend you look into USCCA. Yes, they are one of our channel sponsors, but I have been a member of USCCA long years before they became a channel sponsor. If you don't know, they offer self-defense education, self-defense training, and self-defense insurance up to $2 million. So if you need to defend yourself or your loved one for any reason, in any way, they will offer that up to $2 million of insurance for bail, for a lawyer, for civil fees, whatever you need. Excuse me. If you click the link down in the video description after this, it will bring you to their website and give you all the details so you can see if it's right for you or not. Now, we really can't talk about the Springfield Hellcat without talking about the SIG P365. I'm going to do a separate video comparing all of these from end to end and giving you all of my opinions and all the differences. But the thing I want to point out, when SIG came out with this pistol, there was nothing this size that held more than 6 rounds. And they used a stack and a half type magazine to get 10 rounds in a very, very small pistol. So Springfield had to one-up them, and they gave you a magazine that's the same size and a gun that's the same size as a P365, but it holds 11 plus 1, and then the second magazine holds 13 plus 1. Both of them metal magazines, very, very high quality. I did not have any issues. I didn't have one malfunction of any kind. The 11 plus 1, you can either do this pinky extension on here, or you can run it with a flat base plate, whatever you want. And then the 13 round you see here does have a good size extra base plate on there, and it gives you a really good size grip. You know, not quite a full size grip at all, but definitely very, very good size. The magwell itself, it does have a very, very slightly beveled magwell. Nothing too huge, nor would I want something huge on a small gun like this that's made for concealed carry, but there's a little bit of beveling in there to help with those magazine insertions. I really, really love the grip and the grip texture on the pistol. When I first felt it and grabbed it, before I shot it, I said, ooh, I wish it was a little bit more aggressive. I really like that Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0 grip, that really rough texture. I like that. So I said, oh, I don't know how this is going to be with such a small gun. But when I fired it, it is absolutely perfect. It is smooth enough where it's not going to tear up your skin, but it's grippy enough, if that's a word, that the gun really doesn't move much when you're shooting it. And I shot 115 grain, 124 grain, 147 grain, I believe. I shot a bunch of different ammo just because it's very hard to find ammo right now. And I really end up liking the grip a lot more than I thought it was gonna, especially this area up here up top. I really hate, like this is the SIG right here, the slick polymer feel up here. I really hate that. So I was very happy that Springfield continued the grip texture all the way up here. And then on both sides of the gun, they have these little memory notches for your trigger finger, and they're recessed in a little bit, and they line up with my hands perfect. They feel good, and just a good reminder of where that finger should be when you're not firing. Just keep in mind with all of these really small micro compact guns, the grips are not huge. They are pretty small grips, so without the extension, your pinky's definitely going to hang off it, especially if you have some huge meat paws. Whether you're looking at the Hellcat or the 365 or the Glock, doesn't really matter. The Glock 43X and 48 does have a longer grip, but any of these really small micro compact pistols, you got to keep your meat paws out of the way when you're reloading. The magazine release itself is fine. It is a little on the small side, but it's easy to reach, no issues, no problems there. But because the grip is so small, you kind of got to get your bottom of your hand out of the way. If not, you're gonna stop the magazine from dropping free, and you could even stop from inserting the magazine back in after you or when you're doing your reload. So that's something on all of them, not just the Hellcat, but it's something to keep in mind when you're doing your magazine exchanges. Now, sliding on up to the trigger, I was actually pleasantly surprised on how nice the trigger is and how much I like it. It's kind of a flat face trigger. At the end, it has a little kick out or a little shoe to it, so your hand fits just really well. In the middle of a trigger like Glocks and a lot of triggers, it does have the safety right there in the middle as well, so you can't pull that trigger unless you depress the safety. It does have a little bit of take up, and then you come to a very significant wall. You know, unlike the 365, the wall is just, it's significant. You know it's there. So if you're like me, where you take out the slack to the wall and then smooth pull the trigger the rest of the way, you're definitely gonna like this trigger. Now your reset is tactile. It's fairly audible, pretty audible, and the travel's not bad. It's decent. So with a small gun like this for concealed carry, I don't think you should make the trigger much lighter than it is. So I am happy with the trigger. Feels good, good take up, good reset. The wall is solid, and I wouldn't change it much. Maybe a little bit shorter on the reset, but overall it's very good. Let's talk about the baby rail. Yes, it does have a 1913 standard rail on here, but it is extremely short. It's very small, so you're going to be limited on what lights and lasers and doohickeys you can put on here, but it does have a rail, and it is a standard 1913 cutout, which is good, but it is limited because it's just, the gun is just so small. You know, what can you really expect? The slide release. This is another one where before I shot it, I had one thought, and after I shot it and used it and did reloads, my thoughts completely flipped 180 degrees from what my initial thought was. So when I first saw this slide release, I'm like, this thing is tiny. It's very close to the pistol. It doesn't stick out at all. It's going to be very hard to use it as a slide release. I said, but it seems to be out of the way, so at least I won't ride it. Exact opposite thing happened. When I got to the range and I started shooting, it was fairly easy to use as a slide release, but I rode this slide release almost every single time. 90% of the time when this pistol went empty, I was riding the slide release and the gun didn't lock back. It's just something about where it is and with my hands. I don't know if anyone else is experiencing this, but there was many times where the gun went dry. I went to go pull the trigger and I got a click and I said, oh, malfunction? No, gun's empty. Click, malfunction? No, gun's empty. Over and over. So that was a big downer for me. Again, it all depends on your grip and the size of your hands, but for me, I rode that slide release every single time. Moving on up to the slide, like a lot of pistols, it has a lot to talk about. It does have front and rear cocking serrations, so however you do your press checks or you load your gun or whatever you do, it has some fairly aggressive serrations for you to load it however you want. The finish on the slide is a melanite finish, similar to a nitrite finish, and that type of finish typically is very, very durable and is very unlikely to rust or cause any problems, so I think these should hold up extremely well. This gun is available with an optics ready system, an OSP they call it, or without. This one does not have the optics ready system, but the difference with the MSRP is only like 30 bucks. So if you're gonna get one, I would recommend you try to find one that is optics ready for the extra 30 bucks in case you ever wanna throw an optic on here. It'll be much easier, much cheaper than having to send this somewhere to get milled if you change your mind in the future. On the top here, you do have a loaded chamber indicator, which for once, it's just a little cutout. I used it a ton because I kept on riding the slide release and I wasn't sure is the gun empty or not, so I kind of just would sneak a peek in there and see if there's any more brass showing. But I normally don't really care about the load chamber indicator, but this time I was happy it had it on there. That's pretty much it for the slide. Let's talk about the sights a little. I love the front sight. The front sight is a very, very bright yellow circle, and on the inside it has some tritium. So during the day, picking up those bright colors is very, very easy. Tritium in the middle, if you ever have to use your firearm at night, that is fantastic. Now the rear sight is a U-notch sight. And I know these are very, very popular, and I know lots of people love them. I am not a fan of U-notched rear sights. Something about them, whether it's a big gun, a little gun, or expensive gun, doesn't matter. I just don't shoot them well. I do much better with a U-notch, a squared off instead of that U-notch. I always shoot low with them. I don't know what it is. Even the EDCX9, I shot super low with that gun, even though it's a beautiful gun. I just don't shoot them very, very well. It does have a nice ledge for one-handed manipulation, so that is good. They are metal sights, they're not polymer, that is great. The rear sight can easily be changed out, because if you are like me and you hate those U-notch, not the end of the world, you're just gonna have to swap out that rear sight. The one thing I forgot to mention when we were talking about the slide is how much effort it takes to rack the slide. All of these really small guns are gonna be much harder to rack the slide than a larger full-size gun. There's just less real estate to grab onto, less gun to grab onto. So if you have grip strength issues, this might not be the right gun for you. What I would recommend is try to get your hands on one before you buy it and see if you can rack that slide. Most 30, 40, 20-year-old men are not going to have this issue, but I will say the SIG 365 is probably half the amount of effort to rack that slide compared to the Hellcat. It's just really difficult to rack the slide compared to most guns. So may not make a difference for most people, but it's definitely something I wanted to mention. Now, taking this pistol down, it's very similar to other guns, but there's one step that's different. We're going to lock the slide to the rear. Obviously, I know it's unloaded already. The takedown lever, most of them slide down. This one slides up. So I'm going to slide it up and then I'll show you. See how I slid it up there? That's one little different. Besides that, it takes down just like any other polymer gun. So we'll send the slide forward, and you do have to pull the trigger. Again, do it in a safe direction. Make sure the gun's unloaded. And when you do that, it comes right apart. It has some good sized rails and a good sized locking block here. And like I said, they've proven that, oh, that's dirty though. It's proven itself to be very durable and very reliable. The recoil spring and guide rod is a dual captured recoil spring, and it looks to be polymer. I apologize, I didn't look it up before the video, but I believe it is polymer. The barrel is a 3-inch barrel, and it is cold hammer forged. So I'm going to assume, even though these pistols haven't been out for years and years and years, that it should hold up for a very, very long time, and I doubt you'll be able to shoot this barrel out. I don't think most people are going to be putting 100,000 rounds through their Springfield Hellcat, but if you do, more power to you. Aesthetics. I do want to talk about aesthetics. That's something I think I'm going to do in every video from now on. I know half you out there could care less about aesthetics, but for a lot of people it is very, very important, and it is important to me. I do care what a pistol looks like. And I think Springfield Armory nailed it with the aesthetics on this pistol. It is a very, very good looking gun. All of the markings between the Springfield and the Hellcat and the different things are very, very subtle. They don't really stand out. There's nothing obnoxious or annoying to look at all. So I'm going to give Springfield an A+ on the aesthetics of this gun. Next, we're going to talk about dimensions. As you can see here, it is a very small, very light, micro compact pistol. Comparing it to the SIG P365, it is pretty much identical. I know the SIG is a little bit shorter in the length, and it's a tiny bit lighter, but it's not going to make a difference. A 0.3 ounces or 0.2 inches, whatever it is so close that it's just the sizes for the most part are exactly the same, and they're not going to make a difference. Now, MSRP on this one is $569.99. The optics ready version is $599.99. Again, spend the extra 30 bucks in my opinion. In case you ever want to add an optic, you have that option. You won't have to send the pistol out and spend 100, 200 bucks, whatever it costs now, to have that slide milled for an optic. Again, I will be doing a video comparing both of these two because they're so darn similar. And I think a lot of people who are looking to get a micro carry gun, these are two of the more popular ones they're going to consider, along with the Glock 43X and the Glock 48. So in a week or two, keep an eye out. You'll see a comparison video for both of these two guns. Before you get going, we have to do everyone's favorite part, the pros, the cons, and the uses of this firearm. The biggest pro for me is going to be the durability and reliability. When the SIG P365 first came out, they definitely had some pretty major issues. They did work them out, and those guns have proven themselves to now be durable and reliable. The Hellcat from the beginning had very, very little negative things to say about the durability and the reliability. I know some people don't like Springfield, I get it, but as far as the gun itself, mine was flawless. Now, I shot a ton of different type of ammo through it. I had a bunch of steel case, some Syntex, some Federal, American Eagle. I mean, it's tough to find ammo right now, so I just had a hodgepodge of ammo. And a lot of times in one magazine, I had 3 or 4 different types of ammo. And this gun was 100% reliable. I love the grip. Again, when I first felt it, I didn't know if it was going to be grippy enough, but once I shot it, great job with the grip, Springfield. I like the trigger. I'm a big fan of the solid wall you feel there. It's definitely tactile. It's audible enough for me. I didn't have any issues with the trigger at all. And then the third is going to be the grip, the trigger. Oh yeah, and then the shootability for such a small gun. It is a very small gun, and these small guns are harder to shoot than a full-size gun. But compared to other really small guns, it shot really, really nice. So like the Ruger LCP or the Ruger 9, the small shields, the Taurus G3C. Off the top of my head, those are a few guns that aren't bad, but this one definitely shoots nicer than all of them. As far as if it shoots nicer than the SIG, you're gonna have to wait for my review before I tell you that. Cons. I have 3 cons, and all 3 of them are going to be personal preference. So you may or may not have these same cons, but these are the things I didn't like. 1, it's made in Croatia. Not the end of the world. At least it's not made in China, but it's not made in the United States, just so you know. The rear sight. I know lots of people like U-notch sights. I do not. I had troubles with accuracy in shooting low on this pistol, like I do with all U-notch sights. I'm sure if I spent more time, I can get used to it, but none of my guns have it. They all have a squared off rear sight. And then the slide release location. I did not mind the slide release, but wherever they put it, with my hands, I rode that slide release almost every single time. I think the slide only locked back once or twice. Now I did test. I shot it one-handed, and I shot it two-handed with my thumb out here, just to make sure there wasn't something wrong with the pistol, and it was just my grip. Every time I did something like this, it locked back no problem. When I had a normal, natural grip, that's when I rode the slide release and didn't lock to the rear. Uses, obviously this gun is geared toward concealed carry. Now you could use it for home defense and a few other things, but I think 99% of the people who buy this gun are going to look to get a concealed carry permit and carry it every single day. If that's the case, again, like I said in the beginning of the video, do yourself a favor, check out USCCA. God forbid you ever need to use your firearm or a pointy stick or a bag of gummy bears to defend yourself and you get arrested. USCCA will be there to help you out in probably one of the worst things that ever happened to you. Before you guys go, again, let me quickly thank my homies at the Elite Indoor Gun Range and the Peacedale Shooting Preserve. They have been just ridiculously kind to me, and I greatly, greatly appreciate it. Let me also thank you guys for watching, because that is also greatly, greatly appreciated. If you are looking to support the channel, the best way to support the channel is on Patreon. If you're not willing and able to support me on Patreon, no big deal. Just keep the likes and the comments coming, because they really, really help me out. Now, if you want to see what reviews I have coming up next, including the Hellcat versus the P365 review, consider subscribing to the channel and enabling that bell notification. This way you will hopefully get notified when I come out with a new video. If you want to see what videos and reviews I'm working on right now in real time, consider following me on Instagram, Facebook, and on Parler. The links to all three are down in the video description. Like I mentioned a few times, we do have one really important channel sponsor. It's USCCA. Without beating a dead horse, check them out, see if it's right for you. That link is down in the video description. One last time, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time. Peace.